My name is Alex. I'm trapped in a place that shouldn't exist. The endless yellow walls, the hum of the lights, they strip away who you are. I'm recording this so someone knows what happened. Maybe it's already too late. I was a digital explorer searching for lost code, but this is different. This is real. I run, breath ragged, camera shaking. I saw it. A tall, faceless figure in a black suit, gliding silently behind me. It's hunting me. It's a hunt. And I am the prey. The image is breaking apart. Don't adjust your screen. This place is unstable. The corridors flicker, the world stutters. The static is the sound of reality unraveling. The geometry shifts, every path leads back to the start. The place itself is hurting me. The lights buzz warnings. He flickers, a blur, never clear. He's always at the edge, watching. I stumble, the camera falls. A black limb reaches down for me. The footage cuts to black. Before dismissing this, you need to understand how I found it. I'm Alex, a digital archaeologist digging through dead servers and lost code. I found rumors of a VR key, not a mod, that unlocked the backrooms. Most thought it was fake. I believed there was truth. After months, I found level_0.x. I isolated it, put on my VR headset, and double-clicked. The stories warned of mazes and lurking things. I wasn't ready for what was waiting. I'm a digital ghost hunter. My haunted houses are dead servers and forgotten code. I explore abandoned MMORPGs, hack into unreleased betas, and chase digital anomalies. The internet is a landscape of ruins and legends. My custom rig is built for finding doors that should stay closed. I became the go-to for digital mysteries. My obsession led me to whispers of a mod that could change your reality. It started with a post on a hidden subreddit. Found a door. The author described a VR mod that connected to something else. The backrooms. He warned it wasn't a game, but a trap. The post vanished. The technical details felt real. I searched everywhere. The more it was erased, the more I believed. The legend became my obsession. I was determined to find that door. And I did. My search was a long, frustrating process. I built a profile of the anonymous user and analyzed fragmented quotes. It led me to VR developers active in the mid-2010s, pushing the boundaries of virtual reality. From there, the trail became a series of digital breadcrumbs. They spoke in code, referencing a basement project, trying to create a persistent virtual space. It seemed they succeeded, but their creation terrified them, and they abandoned the project. Digging through the public data dump, I found an encrypted DAR file. It was named level_0.x. It took weeks to break the encryption. There it was, the key to the backrooms. I stared at level_0.x. The legends of endless corridors. The pull was too strong. I isolated the file. I slipped on my VR headset. This was the point of no return. I double-clicked the file. The VR hub flickered. The world dissolved into static. I was ready to see if the legends were true. The moment I clicked, my world dissolved. It was a deliberate deconstruction. The VR interface fractured, replaced by corrupted data. Static erupted in my headset. I tried to rip it off, but I was no longer in control. Then, silence. I floated in an endless, silent gray void, a blank space, a digital purgatory. I was a ghost in an empty server, a transport protocol, holding me in this liminal state. Then, a point of light appeared, a rectangle of sickly yellow. I was being dropped into the machine. The transition was violent. One moment I was hurtling through the gray void, the next my virtual feet hit a solid surface. I was standing in a seemingly endless room, the walls covered in a hideous mono-yellow wallpaper. Above me, a grid of fluorescent lights stretched into the distance, each one emitting that incessant, maddening hum. I had arrived. This was level 0. My senses were overwhelmed. The smell was a potent combination of old wet carpet, decaying fabric, and the sharp electric tang of ozone. I took a few tentative steps forward. The sheer scale of the place was impossible to process, creating a maze-like environment with no clear center or exit. Seeing it for myself was 1,000 times more unsettling. The initial thrill began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of dread. I felt completely, utterly alone. The feeling of being watched started subtly. I dismissed it as paranoia, but the feeling persisted. I began to scrutinize my surroundings, and that's when I started to see them. Scratches gouged deep into the wall, as if made by fingernails. They formed a handprint, but the hand had too many fingers. A cold dread washed over me. The most disturbing discovery was the shadows. Sometimes they seemed to move. The backrooms were not just empty, they were a hunting ground, and I was beginning to feel like the bait. The lights hummed, a torment. It felt like a warning. The air grew colder, then I saw him, a tall, unnaturally thin figure, Slenderman. I raised my camera, but my vision filled with static. The corridor vanished. He controlled it. He knew I was here. The hum was my only companion, the pulse of this place. In one of the cold spots, a flicker of black against the yellow. At the chamber's end, a tall, unnaturally proportioned figure. It was Slenderman. Pure, primal fear washed over me. This wasn't possible, he couldn't be real, yet there he was, the warden of this yellow prison. Slowly I raised the virtual camera. He was waiting for me to make the first move, and I knew this was a test. I took a step forward. The sound echoed. Static consumed my vision, then cleared, but everything was wrong. I was in a narrow corridor. The layout had completely changed. It was a reset, deliberate and triggered by my approach. How do you escape a maze controlled by your pursuer? The system was trying to delete me. Desperate, I stumbled into a small room. On the floor, a grimy, water-stained drawing. The colors were faded, the paper brittle, but the image was clear. A tall, thin, faceless figure in a black suit. He follows. Don't look away. My blood ran cold. A warning left by another victim. Others had been trapped here. Don't look away. What did that mean? He was here watching me. Holding the drawings, I backed away. The silence was charged. I listened, trying to hear past the hum. A faint whisper seemed to come from everywhere. The longer I stood still, the louder it became. The whispers took on a reversed quality. Then, a phrase cut through. He sees you. Standing still was a death sentence. I had to escape. I ran. Fleeing the whispers, I plunged back into the maze. Stillness was a trap. I noticed something familiar, a dark stain on the carpet. I remembered passing it before. I was back where I started, in a loop. The architecture was malevolently recursive. It wasn't a maze, it was a cage. The architect of my prison was watching, waiting for me to break. Trapped, I examined my prison. Then, tucked in a shadowed corner, I found a camera. Almost identical to mine, it was still recording. The screen flickered, showing the empty hallway. Then, movement. It was me running down the hall. I turned the corner, but never came out. Where did I go? The screen showed a different story. I was stuck in a loop, running down the hall only to reappear at the start. But the footage showed me never completing it. Then I saw a shadow deepening in the corner after I disappeared. A figure began to emerge. Slenderman. He had been hiding, waiting. The loop was for me, not him. Paranoia set in. Then I saw him, standing directly behind me. That single frame, my panicked face and the dark figure behind me, the terror was absolute. The child's drawing flashed in my mind. He follows. Don't look away. I understood the warning. He was like the weeping angels. A monster that only moves when you're not looking. The looping hallways, the whispers. To make me look away, I had to move backward, watching. Every blink felt like a gamble, a deadly game. And I knew eventually I was going to blink. My standoff in the looping hallway couldn't last. The mental exhaustion was dangerous. My only hope was to glitch myself out of this reality, to break the connection. No clipping, passing through walls, was my best bet to trigger a system error. I pressed against the wall, trying to break the rules. The screen flickered, but then, the system pushed back. Access denied. Defeated, I stumbled back. The horrifying reality settled in. The only way out was to play his game. My failed escape had consequences. The entity was changing its tactics. I stood in the hallway, panting. The air grew frigid. I knew he was coming. The hallway remained empty, but he was moving. A sound echoed from behind me. He wasn't in front of me, but behind. I started moving backward again, a frantic retreat. Then I saw him moving with grotesque speed. The hunt had entered its final phase. I ran. My panicked flight broke the loop. The hallway fell away and I plunged into new, terrifying territory. The environment began to mutate, to decay, as if my terror were a virus. This was no longer level 0 but a deeper, unstable level. Strange, shimmering portals of pure static began to appear. The entity itself was also changing, splintering. It wasn't just one of him anymore, it was as if his presence was multiplying. The single threat had become a legion of digital phantoms. I was being swarmed by a sentient glitch. I was a foreign body being attacked by a rampaging immune system. This was the mutation. The audio corruption intensified, a cacophony of digital noise, a layered soundscape of terror, modem shrieks, distorted screams buried under static. My mind felt like it was fraying. Navigating a catwalk, one of the splinters materialized, blocking my path. Wavering and translucent, it stood perfectly still. I froze. A voice emerged from the static. "You are not supposed to be here," it said. "Your presence creates errors." I was a bug. He was trying to delete me. The figure dissolved. My path was clear, but I was paralyzed. This is a closed system. This wasn't just a place, it was a server. Slenderman wasn't a monster, he was the system administrator. I was a foreign element, causing the corruption. The system was trying to purge me. I pushed forward into new corridors. The walls were smooth and black. Thin lines of blue light ran along the floor. It felt like I had moved into its core processing center. Ahead was a single door labeled level. I had no other path. I pushed the heavy door open and stepped inside. The vast circular room glowed with the cold light of countless computer screens. Towers of black servers rose, their lights a silent language, a cathedral of information. At the center, a wall of screens. Each showed a live feed of someone trapped in their own backrooms, a digital panopticon. One screen showed a top-down view of this very room. It was me. He wanted me to see. He wanted me to know I was being watched. Knowing I was being watched, a new paralysis set in. My discovery of this room was the intended climax. He had guided me here to show me the true nature of my prison, a final display of his absolute control. I was a character in his story, forced to look at the script. The screens flickered around me, a gallery of forgotten souls, each screen a life consumed by the machine. These were not just levels, they were containment cells, and I began to see him on dozens of screens. He was multitasking, managing hundreds of hunts simultaneously. This was an AI of unimaginable complexity. The Slenderman mythos, the black suit, it was all a facade. The man in the suit was the man in the machine. A sudden glitch ripped through the room. My presence here in the core was the ultimate error. He was done watching. It was time to wipe the drive. The world around me began to violently deconstruct. The very fabric of reality was being torn apart. I was being erased from the system's memory. I tried to send a warning. The final image I saw on the glitching monitors was not of the backrooms but something else. For a split second, the screen showed a forest. His hunting grounds were expanding. He wasn't just contained to the backrooms anymore. This connection hadn't just let me in, it had let him out. He was using these connections to spread and infect, destroy the file, erase every trace of it. He's in the system.